A bronze by Degas, a violin by Stradivarius, a painting by Rembrandt. These are all extremely valuable for two reasons. They were created by a master, and they are few in number. Well, you were created by God, and there's only one of you. That makes you extremely valuable. Hi, Brian McWhorter here from Now Make the Change. And I want to put some wind in our sail. We all need inspirational messages. We all need boosted at times. We live in a world that tends to want to beat us down. You're an 8-cylinder muscle car, but you may have people telling you you're a 2-stroke motorbike. But let's take a deep dive at who we are. According to psychologists, the person we become is largely based on 3 things. It's based on heredity, environment, and then how you respond to those first 2. So let's look at heredity. It's important to choose our parents well. We all have predispositions. These are just how we're wired. Some of us are good at math, some are good at art. We are what we are. That second one, environment. Again, we are molded by our environment. This is another thing you don't get much of a choice in. As a child, we live where we live. But it's important to understand that if we're just focused on those first 2, heredity and environment, we may not see the greatness that is inside us because we get kind of a shell of conformity. We conform to what others tell us we are and to what our environment tells us we are. I love Einstein's comment that if you judged a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to go his entire life thinking he's stupid. We need to understand the impact that heredity and environment had on us. That we are most likely going to conform based on what those were. Enter the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell discovered that almost any story is going to follow a pattern. And it doesn't matter if the story is true or fictional, as in a book or a movie. And this 3-stage pattern is the call to action, tests and trials, and then the return. Look at any movie you love and you're going to see that pattern. The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy is ripped out of Kansas by the tornado, ends up in Oz and has to go through all those tests and trials dealing with the witch, only to end up back in Kansas, but a much better person for everything she'd gone through. Look at Lord of the Rings, the hobbits leaving the Shire, heading with the ring to Mordor, only to, in the end, end up back at the Shire, but again, much stronger, totally different people from the individuals that left. Take any movie, The Matrix, True Grit, Gone with the Wind. They all follow this pattern. And the reason we can relate with it is we go through these same patterns throughout our entire life. You're probably facing a hero's journey right now. Again, we have that call to action that gets it started. And often this is something that we would avoid if we could. If I could choose a life without problems, I would definitely do it. Unfortunately, that is not an option. We're better off to heed the call of action and start our journey. And again, often these are things that we would avoid, like a divorce, a heart attack, finding out we have cancer. Again, we need that hero's journey to break that shell of conformity. I'll end this with a true story of the Golden Buddha. In 1957, in Thailand, several monks were tasked with moving a giant clay Buddha because they were relocating their monastery. And this giant clay Buddha had been around for hundreds of years, so they wanted to do a good job in protecting it. When they were starting to move it, they noticed a crack on the Buddha, so they stopped their work and decided to really examine it. Well, one of the monks got a flashlight and started looking it over for other cracks. When he shined his light on the crack, he noticed something bright reflecting back at him. So he went and got a chisel and a hammer and slowly started breaking away the clay. Slowly and carefully he removed the clay, revealing underneath a giant solid gold Buddha. Historians tell us that over a couple hundred years ago, the Burmese army was coming through there. The monks at the time decided to cover their golden Buddha with clay, thinking, well, the army has no need of a giant clay Buddha. Unfortunately, all the monks were killed in the battle, leaving no one that knew the actual true nature of that Buddha. What a great metaphor for us. We're not unlike that giant golden Buddha. We hide in a clay of conformity until something happens that forces us to break out and show our true divine nature. We are that golden Buddha. Again, the bronze by Degas, the violin by Stradivarius, the painting by Rembrandt. You are greater than any of those. There's one of you, and we need you. Never has a person like you been on this planet with all the hundreds of billions of people that have walked here before us. Don't let people define who you are or stay hidden in that conformity. It's better to shine through with our true nature and live even in failure than succeed in a miserable life of conformity. What we have was created by God for the service of others. We can't do that unless we're true to our Lord and true to ourselves. With that, till next time, Brian McWhorter, now make the change.